If you're not fully up to date with this series already, check out the playlist link in the top right of the video right now. There was only one match Forest fans were talking about for weeks, their Carabao Cup semi-final against Chelsea. The semi-finals are 2 legs, so Nottingham Forest will be playing at Stamford Bridge in the first leg and the City Ground in Nottingham later in January. If Forest were to progress, they'd be playing against either Newcastle United or League 2 club Stevenage in the final. Chelsea had put out a very strong team, but also had the likes of Lukaku, Mount, Havertz and new signing Ferland Mendy ready to come off the bench if needed. With the handshakes complete, the goal for Forest was to try and keep the score as low as possible for their home leg. They did this by putting their bodies on the line, but eventually the ball would fall to Kante, who scored only his second ever League Cup goal. Moments later, Kante perfectly weighted a pass out to Marcos Alonso. That level of technique is unheard of in the Championship, and it only took 3 more passes for Werner to be unmarked with an open net in front of him. It was 2-0 to the Blues. Desperately trying to get back into it, Forest had tried their usually successful corner routine. 2 block shots later, and the Premier League leaders had contained any threat that Forest had. It would be save after save after save from Brice Samba, putting in a top-class performance to make sure the game was only 2-0. Just after that hour mark, Forest would have their best chance of the game so far, with youngster Carter Allen fluffing a one-on-one and Trevor Chalobah blocking the powerful follow-up drive from Callum Styles. Moments later, Samba was called upon yet again, and he did a good camera save, clinging onto the ball and keeping the score 2-0. From his rollout, a good series of quick passes saw Allen through one-on-one yet again. This time he kept his composure, powered the ball into the far corner, and it was 2-1 with an away goal, so Forest were firmly back in the game. Unfortunately though, that's how it would end in London. With the home leg still to come, Forest were only a single goal behind, so there was a chance if Forest played as well as they know they could. In the Cup again, this time away in the FA Cup to Crewe, Forest came into the game as big favourites. A number of players were making rare starts, including debuts for Richardson and Alexandropoulos, but all the early talk was on a good piece of skill from Xande Silva, which saw young wingback Richardson able to cut it back, but unfortunately it was intercepted by the goalkeeper. Yet another piece of great play from Xande Silva saw a perfect through ball fall to Luca Oyen. His decision making was poor, he tried to roulette the advancing goalkeeper instead of just getting a shot off, so the chance ended up going wasted. Yet again, Xande Silva was involved in Forest's next foray forwards. He found Richardson overlap, whose dink landed perfectly on Carter Allen's boot for a tame volley to just about roll into the net, and Forest had taken an expected early lead. 15 minutes after the goal, Crewe's long shot resulted in a corner, with a Daniels header looping towards the net, but off the line, Samba managed to scramble it away to prevent an embarrassing equaliser from Crewe. With half-time passing and Forest choosing to rest a couple of their players for the league later in the week, Graben's substitute appearance saw him playing through Oyen to get a goal on his debut. This goal meant he'd now scored more than his father did in his spell in Nottingham. Crewe's French forward Michael Mandron was in the right place to capitalise on a good through ball from Porter. His shot managed to find the net, and it was 2-1 to Crewe, who were really back in the game. Graben nearly stretched the league with an edge of the box curler, but he could only just hit the post. Crewe would be the next team to attack. A failed offside trap saw acres of space on the right white, with a chest-height cross being skimmed in by the head of Chris Long. With the scores level, Forest didn't want extra time. Graben came deep to be part of the build-up and found a good ball out to Zinkernagel. His dribble saw a shot from the edge of the 6-yard box, but that would only just go over the target. However, only 2 minutes later, Zinkernagel this time repaid the favour by pulling a ball across to Graben, who really could not miss from that angle and that far out. Forest would hold on to the league and would be drawn against huge rivals Derby County in the 4th round of the FA Cup, a match that would be played only 4 days after their league match with the same team, Derby County. After 2 of their 4 games in the Cup in January, Forest were back in the league, this time against Huddersfield. Forest had already played Huddersfield in the season and it had ended 0-0 with a controversial red card, so Forest would be hoping for better than that this time. With a bunch of cup games later in the month to focus on, Forest had selected a weaker team for this clash, and the Terriers had an early chance to exploit this in the first 10 minutes. But there was still enough threat about Forest to cause some chances, with Lewis Grabban nearly being slid through but not quite having the pace to capitalise on the attack. O'Brien and Hogg were dominating the midfield, and it would be a dribble from O'Brien that saw a close chance from Fraser Campbell, but Samba somehow just about managed to keep it out. O'Brien again was part of a move just before half-time, with Dwayne Holmes slipping Campbell through yet again, but Samba was brave and just about managed to block his close-range effort. With it 0-0 at half-time, Huddersfield came out even more fired up. Hogg with an almost perfect chip through, but thankfully for Forest, McKenna just about managed to block the pass this time. With the match still level and coming to an end, that man O'Brien yet again found him in a good position, this time laying it off for Danny Grant to finally beat a devastated Brice Samba, and it was 1-0 with only 6 minutes to go. But unfortunately for Forest, that's exactly how the match would end. Forest had barely any chances, with Hogg intercepting most of them and O'Brien creating almost everything for Huddersfield. Unlucky for Forest, but they should have played better. With only 20 games of the season to go, Forest needed to get back on track against Barnsley. With former Barnsley player Callum Styles selected on the bench, there was always a chance for him to come on and change the match against his former club. With Barnsley in the relegation zone, Forest went into the game big favourites. Barnsley would have the first chance early on, but thankfully it was a simple enough save for Forest goalkeeper Brice Samba. Despite the perceived level of difference in skill between the two teams, the only real moments that came before the hour mark were two good interceptions from league debutant Socrates, who was playing in the middle of the back three. With Forest needing an impact, they turned to another league debutant. This time it was Styles finally playing his first minutes for the Red. There was nothing he could do in the 70th minute though. Socrates had pressed his attacker but left a huge gap for Leia Iseka to turn and fire home. The Tykes were up 1 with only 20 minutes to go. But determined not to lose against his former club, Styles, playing in central midfield today, was constantly involved in the next Forest attack. With a chip just finding him in the box and the ball bouncing loose, the goalkeeper just got there before Forest striker Lyle Taylor could score. With the match having very little controversy so far, an early cross from Brennan Johnson saw Styles breaking from deep. He did a good bit of control to knock it in front of himself, but a shameful hack down somehow only saw a yellow card. Styles himself would take the free kick, but it was nowhere near good enough to trouble the goalkeeper. A goal-scoring chance had been converted into just a yellow card and a poor free kick from Styles. Unfortunately for Forest, that's exactly how the game would finish. It was back-to-back losses at home and back-to-back losses from teams in Yorkshire, with Forest's playoff hopes seeming to slip away in January. However, they did still have the cup and a couple of big games against Derby, so the rest of January was looking pretty exciting. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that next episode because it will be coming out very soon. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you don't want to miss any more. And make sure you check out my other videos on my channel where I do sort of team guides, league guides, that kind of stuff. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate every single comment I get, so thank you for that. And I'll see you very soon. Thank you and goodbye.